What it do, homies? We're back with some more Sabaton. This time we are checking out Impaler. This was requested after my reaction to I Emperor. Loving the song so far from the ones that I've done a reaction to. We will get through the entire album, more or less, pretty much all of them. I feel like every time they release an album, this is like what I end up doing. I do them one at a time because of how I react, right? But anyways, this is Vlad the Impaler, right? We know about him in some way, shape, or form. Some people who've never really dug up the history and whatnot would say that, you know, what was that? Dracula was inspired by Vlad, right? A dude that's really, he committed a lot of heinous crimes, if you will. As a matter of fact, some of what I know came from epic rap battles of history, Vlad versus Dracula. But let's read this little excerpt down here. This historic fact. Vlad the Third. I didn't know he was the third. Okay. Also known as Vlad the Impaler, became ruler of Wallachia. You almost said Wallachia. In 1448, determined to defend his land in time of crisis. Though he faced exile, betrayal, and imprisonment, he reclaimed the throne multiple times, surrounded by enemies, especially the Ottomans. Okay. Vlad gained notoriety for his brutal tactics, particularly impalement, which spread terror across the region. He enforced harsh justice, punishing crimes and disloyalty without hesitation. While vilified by some, Vlad is also remembered as a fierce defender of Wallachia, whose legacy lives on. You know what? He almost kind of reminds me of an anti-hero, right? Somebody who does believe in justice, but like really strongly. That they don't believe in like what's the word I'm looking for? Rehabilitation, right? You commit something, you gotta go, right? That's kind of like anti-hero kind of vibes. Very okay. Anyways, let's go ahead, shut up, turn it up. Oh, you gotta go creepy. Ooh, it's a nice soundscape. You know, man, SABATON does such a great job just telling a story through the instrumentation. You know how difficult that is to do? You know, that's a kind of music education I came up on, right? It's just jazz, where it's like a lot of the communication and everything is told through the music, which is a universal language, right? You don't need to, you know, everybody speaks the language of music. You know what I mean? And God, they just really know how to capture like the essence, or if they're going across, like we don't even know what the concept is. We just know it's about Vlad. And it's like, all right, cool. We got Vlad the Impaler, know everything we know about him. What's this going to sound like? How can I, what kind of melody could I play that when you think of Vlad, like when I play this and then you think of Vlad, that you say, yes, this fits, right? What does that look like? That explains why we had that opening right there. With the strings of the falls, you know, all type of horror tropes and everything that got introduced. When was it? I think when the movie Psycho came out. That's when the horror kind of. Anyways, let's keep going. Getting off track here.
Long ago, a child was born, second son of dragon sworn. The world was born.
Wait, what do you mean? The second son of Dragonsworn? Vlad the Impaler is Dragonborn? Dragonsworn. Two different things. What? That's amazing.
The world was born. A time of plots and schemes, disputed rules, strategic access, tensions rose. The conflict grows. His time will come.
Man, yo, King, man, I don't know what you did. You honestly, you took some time away. You took some time away and really just hammered. You know what? I'm hearing experience. That's what that is. His vocal control when he's singing like really low right there, where he kind of gives us that nice little vibrato, right? This is experience that we hearing. That's why it sounds so good. This ain't no amateurish type of vocals, bro. Just like in I Emperor, it's just, what have you done to your vocal? I love it. All right, don't misconstrue it. Like I hate it. It's just God, dude, it's such a pleasant to listen to. This is an attack on a lot of fronts, man. You don't know what to focus on the instrumentation. You don't know if you want to focus on the lyrics. You don't know if you want to focus on the imagery, right? Because these images and everything. Come on, man. There's not another band like SABATON. It really isn't.
The conflict grows, his time will come, imprisoned with his brother.
Okay.
His hatred's been uncovered. Never surrender, marching on, weapons drawn, colored on. Assail them, impale them, bring them to their knees. Dragon sun, see it done, overrun. Decapitation, annihilation, will bring them down in flames.
Boom, boom, boom. You know what? I'm loving the rhythm selection that they decided with this song right there. What is? Oh, that reminds me of something. That reminds me of a song. I don't think it's a Sabbath. God, ooh, what is that song? That I don't think it's Metallica. What am I thinking of? It's a very specific metal song. But anyways, I'm getting that influence right there. But I love these triplet staff that right. We hear this type of stuff in like thriller movies or you know when the climax and stuff comes up, generally you know those 3 hits implies that there's something massive coming, and whatever is coming it's not something that's short, it's not something that's sweet, it's something that's just an overwhelming amount of pressure over an extended amount of time, right? Because if you kind of think about it, when we think about jump scares, right, they generally don't have repeating notions to them, right? It's just duh, you know what I mean, like jumps like duh, but the duh, that means not only is the impact here, but it's hitting you so much to where you cannot recover. Now does that, sorry, I done hit my mic. See, I get too excited, I be hitting my mics and stuff. Does that remind you of Vlad? Overwhelming pressure, right? A finite end, right? See, these are the type of thing I'll be thinking about, because you got to think about this, right? This is songwriting, right? You want to try to explain Vlad the Impaler through music. Man, what's this going to sound like? That's what it's going to sound like. Just overwhelming pressure. Love it.
Secure the throne to rule alone. The traitors must be overthrown. He will be known as the Impaler of the enemy force. Exact revenge without remorse. There's no recourse, his time has come. Protector of the border. Guardian of the border. Never surrender, marching on, weapons drawn, colored on. Assail them, impale them, bring them to their knees. Dragon sun, see it done, overrun.
What?
Decapitation, annihilation, will bring them down in flames.
Yeah, man. I think, how many songs have I reacted to so far off this album? I think I'm at least like, it's got to be at least 4. It's between 4 or 6 or whatnot. Now I think we still got like another 4 or 5 to go and everything. And lately, man, oh man, what are we doing here, right? And what's Vlad the Impaler? Was that his favorite color? Red, right? You know, when I'm listening to this, I imagine, and I don't know much about his upbringing, right? Like all the way of his upbringing, but it kind of just sounds like somebody that just got tired of the half measures and just decided, you know, to go all in, right? I can see people thinking about that way, especially when you start thinking about, I would have done it this way, I would have done it this way. And then you finally get the chance, and then, you know, overwhelming sheer destructive force. Another triplet. we all know that when we're listening to music, right, it is supposed to give it's supposed to give us emotions, type of thing we're supposed to feel. So as I'm listening to the rest of this, I don't really get a sense of hope and triumph, right? I get more aggressiveness, like maybe, aggressiveness in the name of the greater good. Maybe that's possibly what I get from the rest of this instrumentation. With the choir going on in the background, I mean, honestly, that solo sounded more uplifting, right? More uplifting. We see her in the heavens, especially with the choir that's playing in the background. So maybe that is all these comparison. I don't know which one is known about Impaler the most, right? How destructive he was or how loved he was by Wallachia, the people who he was protecting. I feel like that little solo bit right there was talking about that, right? Because we're talking about his actions. We're talking about his power on a battlefield, right? What I was saying, the overwhelming force that he commanded and what he's known for. We also had a, defender, protector, right? There are people who looked at him as a savior. And I think that's what that solo there was to show, right?
Assail them, impale them, bring them to their knees like a sun. See it done, overrun.
That's great.
Decapitation, annihilation,
Annihilation.
down in flames.
Annihilation. Dragonborn. You teasing me like you got something else about to play. No, you ended it the same way you kind of began. Wonderful. Wonderful. I think Vlad also understood the pretty much the art of war, right? That the psychological game, which of course the impalement. And I feel like other kingdoms and people who were defended did that before. Beware, traitors, this is what you'll experience, you know what I mean? Like, to enforce the rules and everything. But I think what set Vlad apart was just how heinous it was, right? Because I imagine people just, chopping off heads and leaving it for, anybody that would do wrong in their kingdom or do wrong against them. He probably had whole bodies on the stake, which actually is kind of crazy. And depending on, how much he was cooking his ops, he might have had fresh bodies on the rotation. You know what I mean? So it was just always blood with no corpse, with no skeleton out there, bro. If somebody just unalived the last hour, I wouldn't put it past him. I'm pretty sure there are excruciating details about the heinous crimes that he committed. I'll let you guys tell me that down in the beginning. I don't know if I want to hear that. I might just go read it. Anyways, y'all, next reaction. See ya. Dave's out.